Okay, today's daf is Yoma and Aleph, Yoma 51. The Gemara says on Ninam and Beis, the Gemara has a question towards the top. The Gemara says, Ba'i Reb Elazar, fifth line. Divrei Omer Par Yom Kippurim Karban Yachid Oset Tmura Oin Oset Tmura. If you hold the Par Yom Kippurim that the Kohen Gadol brought, L'chaper Ado Ad Beso, both for him and his family and for the Kohanim, and like we said last year, and the Dam was also for the Chaper of Klal Yisrael. Osa Tzmura or Enes Tzmura. Does it make a Tzmura if you try to exchange it and say, I want to remove the Kedusha from the par to a different animal? Does it work or not? My kami boile. The Gemara comes out that really, of course, you go basar the mischaper. Because if it's a korban yachid, then it's also tzmura. We know the halach is a korban sibor that belongs to shutfim, belongs to more than one person. It doesn't make a tzmura. So the Gemara says, really, the shaila is his fellow kohanim, his brothers, his fellow kohanim, who also get Chibur Ba'adav base, they're included in the kapara of the par, in the vidoy of the kapara of the par. Do they join ownership fully, or is it Bekufya? Rashi learns Bekufya that it's like saf, it's floating there. It's Nikra al Shemam, the par is works for them for a kapara, but it doesn't really belong to them totally. The Gemara answers, the Gemara goes back to this Shaila on Nun Aleph from a base on the top. Tepukli Dasha Lama Rahmana Mishallah. And the Gemara is in Brisa that a proof that the par has to come from the money of the Kohen Gadol. So it comes from the money of the Kohen Gadol. Obviously, it belongs to the Kohen Gadol only. It's Korban Yachid, no Tzmura. So the Gemara says, well, it can't make sense. If they have no ownership over it, how would they get kapara? And the Gemara says that really it must be that the Torah was mafkir. It really came from the money that Kohen Gadol. The Torah made it hefker so that the fellow Kohanim could get a bailus in their korban, and it would therefore be hefker. And what's the halach? Not clear what the halach is. So the pasha, the simple explanation is the Torah made it hefker and it transferred the rishus into the rishus of the other kohanim, and it belonged to all of them. It's a korban hashutvim, and therefore it wouldn't be a tzmura. Problem with this, and that's exactly what the Agos Bach says. He says v'yesh lamer neskapra b'kfiyus. He adds those words that it becomes like the Gemara said, b'kfiyus. It becomes total bailus of all the other kohanim, the fellow kohanim. And it's a korban shotfim, and it wouldn't be a tzmura. The problem with this is that, first of all, we never find that when the Torah talks about hefker just means afkare. Hefker means that you remove it from your rishus, but it doesn't go into someone else's rishus. The person has to make a kinyan in order to go into the other person's rishus. We never find that the Kohanim made a kinyan. Hefker just means it removes, you relinquish your rishus, or in this case, the Kohen relinquishes part of his bailus, but who says they went into the other Kohanim's hands? Another question is, well, it's not really such a question, but the art scroll doesn't say that. The art scroll says, so therefore you see, it's a question at the end of the day, related to the shayla, it's a valid shayla, whether it's b'kfiyus or b'kufya. Not like the Bach. What's going on with the art scroll? See, it's a question. Art scroll is legitimate, 95% of Daf Yomi learners use the art scroll, so it's a rov shchiach taken into account. And the third question we'll ask is like this: is that also the Kohen Chibur Ba'adav ad Beso, it says it twice in the Torah. One is to teach me he's mechaber for him and his household, him and his wife. That's the first Mishnah in you talked about his wife. The Chibur Ba'adav ad Beso, he has to have a wife. The mechaber. The Chibur Ba'adav ad Beso, a second time, teach me that his Kohanim, the fellow Kohanim, also got kapara with it. Now, when it comes to the Gemara never addressed his wife getting a kapara through it. So we know the Gemara says Mashakana Isha Kana Baila. So even if the Kohen would be mafkir and give bailus in his par to his wife, it would automatically return to him because his wife doesn't have a kinyan. She can't make a kinyan on the nechasim of her husband. Even nechasim of somebody else would go directly to her husband if it was given to the woman, unless he made it tonight. So it belongs. So v'chir ba'adav ad beisa. How does it work by his wife? His wife, if the Rebach is really true, how does his wife have a shutfus in it with the husband? Wouldn't make any sense. I want to say that when the Gemara says bekufya, it's not like Rashi says bekufya that saf al gabe hamayim, it's floating on their heads. It's nikra al shema. Kufya, if you change the word kuf and pays from forwards to backwards, you end up with hefker. Kufya is like hefker. That's where the shaila was it bikfiyusa. Was he giving over bilas and they made a kinyan? Oh, but kufya, or was it just make hefker? And that's the Gemara answers. The afkir rachmana, afkir is the lashon of kufya. Just switch around the kuf and the pay. It was hefker, and like we said, hefker, a person has to make a kinyan. So that's what the Gemara is answering, that the Kohen really has full bilas, and the Torah was mafkir it. It gave took partially out of the shus of the Kohen, and enable the kapara for the other kohanim through the mechanism of hefker. That what didn't actually result in the bilas in the animal, but it was hefker in terms of their kapara being al shmam. And that's Gemara's maskana, that it wouldn't be a korban shutfin, it would still belong to the Kohen Gadol entirely, as it's just nikra al shmam. So therefore, it would make a tmura because it wouldn't belong to the Kohanim. And that would answer also by the wife of the Kohen Gadol. She's not really zocha on it. He can make it hefker that it nikra al shema, but really he would entirely have the entire bilus of the animal, and therefore it's called a korban yachid, and it makes it tmura.